This story portrayed the so-called most terrifying woman killer of South Korea, beside the fact that the way she killed was very womanly. She cut, she cleaned, she chit-chat while doing it. Another fact is that, yeah, she's a woman, and we do not have many woman killers in the history of mankind. It is debated that whether it is because we women just don't resort in killing. The other theory is that women, when we do kill, we don't get caught. I am more of the first camp. I believe that we women resort in talking before we resort in killing, and unfortunately, the talking usually resort in us getting killed by men. The thing here is that it is not just that she is a she that killed. It is the way that she seemed to give up halfway through the getting rid of the body process that begged so many gender questions in me. The cliche being, yes, we can cut, we can clean, sometimes we cook, but we need a man to take out the trash. Not that I'm calling the victim the trash, it's a metaphor, and to prove my point, let's go into the first scene. The black duffel bag. Kim discovery at the factory. It's a Saturday morning, May the 31st, 2014, at a factory in Incheon. A worker named Kim has only been on the shift for about an hour, but he's already tired, exhausted from his work. So he sneaked out to the corner of the street to smoke a cigarette. But before he can even light it up, he freezes because something hit him. A scent, a smell, a heavy rotten, like death itself, just grabbed him by the throat. His eyes watery, his stomach turned, he looked around, and then he saw it, the black duffel bag dropped against the wall. It's not a brand new, fresh from the store kind of black, but this is a tired black, faded, streaked with cream, the kind that looked like it has been dragged through something dirty, something heavy and bulging, and it was like stuff beyond its capacity. Just a single zipper is cheap and flimsy, barely hold the two halves together. The fabric was stained, dark patches soaking into the material, almost invisible against the black. But Kim knew. He knew what kind of stain those were, and the air around the bag bursting with flies. They swam, they circled, they won't leave. Kim must have the gut of the Iron Man or something, because his curiosity went over his fear. I mean, the normal reaction when you see a big bag on the street is yes, to open it to check what inside. Maybe you can wrap something. I don't know. But he held his breath and walked closer, and then he unzipped the bag. First, he saw the top of the head. Then a twisted face appeared, popped out of the bag. Kim just immediately fell back onto the ground. His legs moved on their own and grasping against the hard concrete, trying to push him away before his brain can actually process what is happening. He wanted to be as far as possible from what he just saw. The police were called immediately to the scene, of course, and the forensic team in their white suit attacked the place like a swarm of angry ants, looking at everything super close. The detective locked out the whole area, putting tape everywhere like a giant spider web. They looked for clues everywhere, spreading out from where they found the bag, checking every tiny bit of ground and every leaf, because the detective knew this case is huge. The media gonna be all over the place, sitting on top of their shoulder, watching every single move the police is doing. When the bag was finally opened, he was right. The air itself seemed just cuddled. Inside, there was the upper half of a man's body. The discovery immediately sparked the first urgent question: where is the other half? The forensics team carefully laid the man's torso down. The body was decomposing hard. The skin color looked like a canvas of purple and green, but it didn't take the professional eyes to define the cause of death. His chest and stomach was covered in stab wounds. From the brutality of the wound, police had their first theory. It looked like a gang fight, or at least a duel fight and the killer has to be a very strong man. But the forensic experts think differently because looking at the cut at the waist, the first thing they notice is that the cut is clean, like someone slicing a sausage in half. It didn't look like rage. It didn't look like revenge or a brutal fight. This does not point to a brutal revenge, but more of a logistic decision. What do you mean by that? I mean the person that cut the victim in half didn't do it because they hate the victim or they have any beef with him. He or she did it so that the body is smaller, easy to pack and move. And they didn't even bother cut it into 4 pieces, 2 pieces. They're happy with 2 pieces. This is the first relationship clue the police have with the victim and the first step into the psychology of the killer. Inside the bag, beside the body, there are other interesting things found. They found broken nails, they found long strand of hair. A woman was around when the packing was happening, or at least the first crime scene. There must be a woman living there or being around there. Before we begin, I need to give a warning. This case is brutal. The details are graphic and disturbing, and my writing had become better, so I describe the graphic better. Please listen with your own description. As usual, I have to also mention that English is not my first language, so thank you for your patience and literally understanding. I also want to thank you for your support. With your help, the Daily Avocado team may get expanded and we can deliver to you better experience. Now, with all that declaration, let's get into the story. Police was able to profile the victim quite quickly. The ID matched a 50-year-old man. His name was Mister Bao. That's a fact. Just a few days before his body was found, Bao was at home sitting at this dining table, his wife buzzing in the kitchen calling out, "Bao, the kimchi stew is ready," and the young daughter just playing beside him giggled as he made a funny face. The smell of dinner filled the small apartment, a typical comforting evening. Bao is a diligent office worker. He was known for his routine. He'll be home at 6 p.m., dinner with the family, an hour or two with television, and then early to bed. He was the pillar of their quiet life, the one who always come home. So when he didn't return home on May the 26th, his family knew something was wrong. That's why his missing person report was already active and why the police quickly connected the body in the bag to the missing Bao. They had his description, his dental record, and a family desperate for answer. Police first spoke to Bao's wife and child. To them, Bao was perfect, a loving husband, a caring father, a man who worked hard at his job and always come home on time. Police asked his wife, "When was the last time you saw him?" She said, on the evening. He left the house. He never come back. So he was last seen alive on May the 26th, 2014, when he left his home. The next question is, where was he going to? Since his wife doesn't know where or who he was going to meet, police turned to Bao's computer and phone. They checked his phone. The log told a different story that his family never knew. Bao was a busy man with excellent skill in time management. He was living a double life. There is a Bao at home, quiet, a loving but firm father, a steady husband everyone could rely on, and there was a Bao online, a generous Bao, the man who donated his savings to have young, ambitious students pay their college dream. Going through his chat log make the police want to wash their eye with acetone, the digital playground where men went to escape their life. But even for them, Bao online history was a special kind of growth. It was parade of desperation, thinly veiled as generosity. Each message, each donation was a calculated move to buy attention, affection, or something else. And the police, they just shook their head. Another one, all men, it seemed, are equally predictable when left on their own device in the digital dark. And the thing didn't stay online. Page after page of message, each one is a mirror of the last. Bao had a type. He liked young, financially struggling, and eager to impress kind of woman, girl. He offered small sum of tuition help or medical bills, always framing it as generous gesture. But the reply told a different story. Girls thanked him with overly sweet emoji, promising to make it worse his wife. The police could see the pattern, the transactional nature of his online generosity, and it led them to a handful of women who had exchanged messages and even met with Mr. Bao. So the question becomes, was it Bao's behavior that led him to his death? Because, let's be clear, cheating on your wife and playing around online and offline doesn't mean you deserve to die. But what if Bao was more than just unfaithful? What if he was a bad person, a bad sponsor too? Did he treat these women poorly, use them, then toss them aside? Or did they give them the kind of affection that they couldn't get anywhere else? Maybe one of them wanted more. Maybe Bao refused to leave his wife. Maybe he had a loving relationship and the woman went insane for him and he refused to give up on his family and his little routine. And maybe that refusal pushed someone over the edge. That was one angle that the police had to consider, because love, money, betrayal, they all leave their fingerprint at the motive of the crime like this. But when police keep digging, one profile stood out, the most recent one, the one Bao was chasing really high. Her profile looked polished, a nice picture, a simple description, nothing too obvious. Bao started. Hello, I'm Bao. You are very pretty. I saw your profile and thought you looked very kind. She replied almost instantly. Her name was Miso Soup, also a fake name. She was 32 years old in 2014 at the time she killed Bao. On the surface, she looked polished. Told people that she was the piano teacher. Online, Miso Soup looked untouchable. Her social media was filled with luxury photos of designer handbag, tiny jewelry, coffee suit, and latte lined up just right. She staged herself, kind of, as an elegant professional, a piano teacher with refined taste, a woman who traveled abroad, a woman who lived big. But that was just smoke and mirror, because behind the camera, she lived alone in a small apartment. Her fridge was empty, the bills piled up, the rent unpaid for many months. She borrowed money that she couldn't return. Okay. For years, she had a sponsor, a wealthy older man, a sugar daddy who paid her rent, covered her shopping. This is 2014, so she was the first generation of OnlyFans. And her OnlyFans stopped sponsoring her a few months before Bao's death. The man cut her off. And so Bao was her first audition. She was casting him to be the next fan. A married man, older, financially stable, willing to pay for silence, perfect on paper. Miso message grew warmer, more detailed. She spoke of her dream, her talent, the unfairness of her circumstances, but she never asked for money directly. Nobody would. Instead, she mentioned small, relatable needs. I wish I could afford a new sheet music, or maybe my phone bill is so high this month, it's make me anxious. There was breadcrumb perfectly placed, and Bao followed everyone. He offered to send money, pretending it was a spontaneous gesture of kindness. She would accept, always with a grateful, almost innocent tone, promising to repay him when she could. On one exchange in particular stood out to the police. Bao had sent her a kind of significant sum for what she claimed was a medical emergency for her mother. Miso's reply was overflowing with gratitude. Then, almost as an afterthought, she added, "You know, it's so hard to find truly generous men like you. Most of them are just after one thing." Bao, oblivious to the subtle manipulation that women do, had swelled with pride. He missed the the red flag per se. The way that she had already profiling him, isolating him from most men and making him feel special. So the question is, how do you go from this hero princess fantasy to something straight out of the Harley Quinn movie, the one with neon light and power sword and human flesh splattering the wall? I guess after so many little donations, they kind of sum up to the point where they are planning to meet online. On the day of the murder, May the 26th, 2014, Bao arranged to meet Miso Soup at 4 in the afternoon. The place, an outdoor cinema in Payu, casual, public enough to feel safe. Miso Soup arrived first. She stood by the cinema, one hand lifted, waving at Bao. Her hair was long and dark, falling loosely around her shoulder. She wore a black blouse, the button left half open, pale skin showing through a short black skirt, high heels, and a luxury handbag swinging by her side. Her face, not much of an impression when she saw Bao approaching, not much of a smile neither, but enough for Bao to want to continue the date. For Bao, this was half romance, half transitional. He didn't pull out cash in public. No, that would be too obvious, but instead the agreement was already made through their chat. This is how we know the police read their chat. The price was set around 300,000 won upfront. And so when they met, it wasn't really about getting to know each other. It's about confirming the deal. Does she look as good as in her profile picture? Yes, and yes, Bao had already paid for the company. So for Bao, he was expecting a few hours in secret. No string, no risk. And who brought up the hotel? It wasn't Bao, it was her. Miso Soup leaned in, her voice low. Let's go somewhere private. Bao agreed immediately. Of course he did. It was the moment he thought he paid for. It was the moment every man out there hoped for on the first date. CCTV showed they left the cinema together, heading for the car, and from there they rode straight to a hotel nearby. Later, the camera caught them entering the hotel together. When they walked in, the lobby was quiet, the reception desk was empty, no one visible behind the counter. This hotel was one of those small, discreet places popular with couples looking for privacy. It opened largely unmanned. What that means is it relied on self-check-in kiosks and a few security cameras. So in the lobby, you can see a camera everywhere, and then you can see booths like little ATM checking in. Bao and Miso Soup approached a digital screen. He tapped through the option. His movement were quick and practiced. Miso Soup stood beside him. Her face was expressionless. The transaction was swift. A few move tap, a card swipe, and a key card dispensed. They didn't exchange any word. They just silent agreement. They follow each other into the elevator and disappear from the camera view. Bao went in, but only Miso Soup ever come out. Later, she returned to the hotel alone, carrying bags, wearing different clothes. So what happened inside that hotel that turned two cooperative data into two halves of a corpse and a murder? Forensic reconstruction of the crime. When the forensic team finally arrived at the hotel room, it looked surprisingly normal. The bed was made, the surface wiped out, and there was no sign of the horror that had unfolded there. In fact, a few new guests had already checked in and checked out, used the room after the murder, completely unaware. But the forensic expert did need to unveil their chemical tool very far to expose the truth. With a spray of luminol, the invisible became terrifyingly clear. A bloody painting covered every surface, a silent testament of the violence that had been so meticulously yet imperfectly cleaned away. The forensic team walked backward, step by step, rebuilding the night inside the hotel room. They say that it started around 8 p.m. It's around the time of death. Bao may have let his guard down, and Miso Soup just pulled out a 30-centimeter fillet knife. She struck fast, she struck hard, the blade drove into his chest, then his neck, then his stomach. 41 stab wounds. They have counted. Bao collapsed dead within minutes, but it didn't end there. She dragged his body into the bathroom, taped her hand to the knife for a strongest grip, and prepared for the next step. It is obvious from the scene that this was not an accident moment of anger. First, she brought the knife, and then you would have thought after killing the man, one would panic and either run away immediately or frantically clean up the blood. But no, she washed up, she enjoyed the silence of the night alone in the same bed. It looked like she tried to cut him up with a knife that she brought, but it was not powerful enough. So Miso changed the plan. She used his credit card to extend the stay at the hotel. Alright, CCTV showed Miso later leaving the hotel at around 11:30 the next morning. She walked out alone, her hair tied back, her clothes changed. She slid into the car and drove away. But she didn't run off like a normal murderer. No, she went shopping. And not just for the cleanup party. The first stop, she went to a jewelry shop. The camera there above the counter caught her trying on a necklace. It was gold, real gold, shiny, worth millions of won. She paid with Bao credit card, and from there, she walked into a luggage store. She bought 2 big suitcase duffel bag, the one we saw in the beginning. Big enough to fit a man. The camera even saw her testing the zipper, like this is not for one-time use, but for multiple travel across the world. She ran her hand over the handle, and then finally, she also went to a hardware shop. The clerk there remembered her. Why? She was a young woman asking to buy a sword. So, she smiled, said it was a gift for her father. He even helped her choose. He even showed her how it worked. And then she left the store with a brand new power sword. The dismemberment in the bathroom. She knew on the cold bathroom floor, the air smelled strongly of blood. The power sword raw in her gloved hand, and loud noise would cover up the sound of her whole heart beating fast. She wore headphones, blasting loud music. The bathroom, usually clean, was now covered in dark red splash, with a white toilet and the stripe on the shower curtain. With each push of the sword, there was a terrible crunch, and red crumbs flew everywhere. On the wall, the mirror, even her face. She walked carefully and precisely, as if she were doing a messy art project. The music kept her going, stopping her from thinking or feeling anything but the cruel task at hand. Piece by piece, she split his body into the upper half stuffed into the black duffel bag and the lower half packed tight in a suitcase. Then come the cleanup. She scrubbed the floor, wiped out every corner, sprayed air freshener to cover the iron smell of blood. And then to the next guest, she cleaned up so well that the next guest didn't notice anything weird. It looked normal, cleaning up. But under the chemical light, the blood was everywhere. Just enjoying some me time, one message may have read. This hotel is surprisingly nice. She was texting rapid fire with friends, laughing emoji. She was sending message like she was on a vacation. Okay, the vacation vibe radiating from her casual posture, thinking of a woman sitting in the bed doing her nail or something while chatting with her friend, enjoying some me time. Meanwhile, less than 2 meters away, wrapped in layers of plastic and hidden in the bathroom, lay Mister Bao body, decaying silently. Each time that Miso needed to use the toilet, she had to step past the silence, the faint odor, a ghostly reminder of the horror that she had just created. Yet, her composure just remained unbroken. The silence in the room wasn't just the absence of sound, it was the chilling quiet of a mind completely detached from death itself. Yes, she stayed 2 extra nights. The murder happened on May the 26th, but she didn't leave right away. She used his credit card, extended the room, bought herself some time and jewelry, and she stayed 2 nights in the hotel, leaving alone above a corpse. cutting and cleaning and packing. May 28th, the camera caught her again, walking out of the hotel. Beside her was a large suitcase and a duffel bag. She dragged them across the lot, struggling with the weight a little bit, but never looked back. She loaded them into her car carefully, like luggage for the trip, and then she drove. Hours passed. The road proved empty. The first stop in Payu. She pulled over, dragged one suitcase into just the random weed and left it there. The second stop, an industrial zone near Incheon. She parked near a factory wall. This time, she just shoved the bag against the corner of the wall, where 3 days later, on May the 21st, at 10:14 in the morning, Kim, the poor factory worker, found the bag and discovered Bao's upper body. It seemed like she wasn't trying to hide the body at all. She left it in plain sight on public road in spot where people would easily find them. This raised several disturbing questions about her characters. It saw a chilling confidence, almost a sense of arrogance or stupidity. Okay, the line between arrogance and stupidity are very close. She didn't fear of getting caught. In fact, it's as if she wanted the discovery to happen, to just dump it on the side road. It speaks to her profound detachment and lack of empathy. She viewed Bao remain not as a human life or something that you would bury with care and grief, but as trash to be discarded in a wrong place. There was no attempt to show respect or even a basic level of concern for the victim's dignity. The casualness of the disposal mirrored the casualness of the murder itself. It's just a mere inconvenience to be dealt with now. So from the CCTV footage, police followed the trail. They saw her face, they saw her car, they saw the license plate, and no one else appeared on the entire timeline. It's just Bao and her. And when Bao vanished, she was the last person with him. And with that, the police had a suspect. They traced the car, they traced the address, and just like that, Miso Soup was found and arrested at her home immediately. It was a late afternoon when they knocked on the door. Miso Soup opened it, super calm, no expression, just again, like nothing was wrong. It's like her amygdala had been destroyed because of some emotional damage. I don't know. The officer just stepped in and they searched the place a little bit. They found clothes with blood traces. They tested the DNA of the nail and the hair and the blood, and everything was matched. It was her. A power saw, she brought it home. The evidence was everywhere. And she didn't fight, she didn't scream. I guess she was just waiting for it to happen or pray for it to not happen. As the cops just clicked shut, the officer had to say to her, "You're under arrest for murder." And here is the weird thing that happened, that she just tipped her head to the side. Her lip curved almost like a smile. "I didn't kill anyone. I was only defending myself." Those were her first words. When police found her, they didn't even need the DNA to know that the hair and the broken nail in the back was her. The evidence was everywhere. The question here wasn't if she did it or even how she did it, but why. And with those simple words, it was clear she was aiming for self-defense. The job of the detective now was to prove otherwise. Inside the station, they sat her down. A small room, a metal table, a camera at the corner. The police didn't go in blind. They already had the timeline. They had everything. They had the hotel camera, the shopping where she used his car, and they had the body part. They had her DNA. Miso Soup was surrounded, okay? There was no escape. And so when she sit down, the confession come fast. She admit the stabbing, she admit the cutting, she admit the dumping. But that was not enough. The detective already knew the how. They need to also hear the why, because the self-defense story didn't hold much water, is it? The detective just lean in and tell us what happened. Miso Soup crossed her arm calmly, and then she say, "He tried to attack me. I only defend myself." The officer stared at her straight to the face. "Defend yourself? You stabbed him 41 times. You cut his body in half with a power saw." For a moment, the entire room just went silent, and then she just laughed. loud. It wasn't the sound of the victim. It was the sound of someone enjoying the story. Like, you just told me you went to the medical and get your hair done, and she's saying, what? That's kind of smart. Oh my God. The detective then just throw the photo on the table. Look at this wound. She gave the photo a 3-second glance. He was bigger than me. I had to make sure. And the saw, why did you cut it in half? What else was I supposed to do? Drag him out whole? I'm alive. He's not. That's the difference. The difference is, lady, the how you kill someone is just as important as the why. And at this level of brutality, you better give us a reason to believe that there's still some human left inside of you. The word from the detective hit her hard, but Miso Soup didn't flinch. I told you, it was like her amygdala had been destroyed. Had totally destroyed. She just leaned forward. Her eye was cold, and then she smiled again. She admitted to the killing and the dismembering in the detail early on. The whole technical of the story we get from the police forensic state and also from her confession. But when they press her for the motive, she just gives the same lie. He tried to touch me, I defend myself, and that was her answer over and over. And then, even worse, she changed her story later. She denied ever killing him at all, even when faced with evidence. She just say, I didn't kill anyone, I don't belong here. Overall, her defense was, I was defending myself. She claimed that Bao attacked her first, and then she feared for her life, and that every stab, every cut was just an act of survival. So the question here is whether the jury believe in her story. The quick answer is no. Not a single person in their right mind would buy her story. The jury found her guilty of murder, of course. They reject the self-defense claim. The brutality of the crime combined with her action before and after painted a picture of an absolute crazy killer, not a victim, not a random victim. So the jury found her guilty. However, and there is a huge however that leaves the public and me angry. The decide of this particular court, the jury would decide whether the defendant is guilty or not guilty based solely on the evidence presented in the court. If the jury find the defendant guilty, the judge then would take over and impose the sentence. The judge typically had a range of sentencing options available, guided by the sentencing guideline that he had learned in his life and various other factors related to the crime and the defendant background and the real situation and their relationship. This separation of duty is the cornerstone of the justice system. The public get to decide whether the person is guilty or not, and the professional judge the severity of the punishment. This system would aim for ensuring the fairness and impartiality. So to simply put, if you think of the jury as the mother who decides whether the child should be grounded, once the mother says, yes, the kid is naughty and he should be grounded, then the judge is like the father. He can send the kid to his room for half a day or for a week. And for Miso Soup, she was grounded for 30 years. The judge's ravel hit softer than expected. Bao family and everyone who planned to go on a blind date ever again in their adulthood was awaiting for justice. At least a life sentence. At least let the people know that they will be locked up if they kill me during our date. But no, 30 years. That's all she got. The reason the court called it is a random crime that is not premeditated. It's not a repeating behavior pattern. Those are very fancy wording, but in my word, the judge believes that Miso randomly carried a 30-centimeter fillet knife to a date, and that she won't be doing that again. My bet is that the judge believes that by the time she gets out of prison, no one will want to date. The whole point of a legal system is to punish behavior that we all agree that is too bad to forgive, too bad to ever risk repeating. So we lock people away forever if we have to, right? People, man or woman, I don't care. But from everything I learned from this case, this woman is not like the rest of us. She is mentally different, calm where we feel, calm where we break. laughing when the rest of us would collapse. She didn't just accidentally stab a guy in a bar fight with a broken bottle. No, she brought a knife. She stabbed him 41 times. She dragged out a saw, cut him into pieces, and for what? Some jewelry, a shopping trip. And here's the scary part. In 20 years, she'd be out. She'd be here in her 60s. Old enough for gray hair, but still young enough to go and kill again. Because if your brain is broken like that and no one recognizes that you're broken in the head, prison will not fix you. If anything, 20 years in prison would only make you crazier. It is needless to say that the puppet blew up like a damn bus, and the flood of outrage just washed over the nation and probably international. I got to know about this case. And not just a normal outrage, the total paranoia. I mean, at this point, it's not really paranoia anymore. It's an actual concern. Suddenly, it's not safe to go on blind date anymore, even if you are a man. Because, okay, women in sex trade or sex date are almost always the victim. We even have the saying that, you found her end up in the trunk and killing in the trunk. With beating, the exploded, the scar. But this crime, the story kind of flipped. The woman was the predator. The man was the one being cut into pieces, and people just couldn't process it. The fear just hit the adult industry the hardest. The man, they stay at home for a little while, the money dry up for a little while, and the website went quiet for a little while because suddenly every profile picture could hide a knife. The idea is that one woman with a suitcase and a saw could terrify an entire market. It's funny in a twisted way. First of all, the majority of this market customer are men. And when women, we get hunted almost daily and regularly, and the world just move on like, live for. But one man got diced up, and suddenly it's siren, it's headline, it's the panic on the street. Turn out we do have equality, but it's just not the way that anyone would want it. So you get one part of the public want justice. Another part need reassurance on the safety of future sexing business. And a large part just want answer because there is a loose end to the story. Miso Soup really stick to her defense that he attacked her first and she defends herself. But again, no one in their right mind believe her. And because she wouldn't tell us the real answer, I went online and looked around for theories. Theory number one is the simplest and the most popular. Money. She was drowning in debt. She rent unpaid for months. She borrowed cash that she couldn't return, and her sponsor, the rich sugar daddy, was gone. So Bao's wallet looked like a vacation pocket. Okay, she used his car. She bought jewelry, luxury, take a bunch of pictures, like nothing had happened. A very dumb motive. If I kill him, I get to spend his money for 3 days. So she could be that stupid and impulsive. Who knows? But of course, there are people out there who can paint a darker picture. The second theory is much more complicated, and it's based on the fact that Miso is not seem that desperate for money to the point of killing for it. She doesn't have a hungry child waiting at home to be fed. She doesn't have a sick mother that needed money for medication. She even had an income. She had expensive handbags, she had jewelry at home, she had a home that's still over her head. And in the chat, she never asked Bao for money. Not even once. But instead, she accept money, yeah. But instead, she just asked questions like, will you treat me well? Will you listen to me? Do you have time on Monday? It was almost like she wasn't chasing money. She was hunting for a type. A man who was soft and available and easy to control. And once she found him, she didn't want his money. She wanted his life. This theory portrayed Miso as someone who just wanted to kill a specific type of man. And Bao profile, for some reason, suit the victim that she wanted. His card and the shopping, though, was just the cherry on top. The real motive was the act of killing itself, the thrill of taking a life and cutting it in half. So some experts believe that it was the mix of the two theories. She was in need of money, but more to it, it is her rage toward the sugar daddy type of man. For years, Miso Soup had a man who funded her life, who paid her rent, cover her bill, give her the luxury item that she can show off to her friends and to online. But a few months before Bao murder, that man cut her off. He just gone with no support, no security, and that rage, the anger, the toward man, it had to land somewhere. Bao was not the man, but Bao was close enough. An older man, married, sneaking around, easy to lure, and some profiler believe that Bao wasn't killed for money or wasn't killed for his behavior toward women. He wasn't killed for the drill of killing. He was killed because he was a stand-in, a substitute target, the wrong man at the wrong time. And here's my take of the whole story. When women do kill, we don't just swing once and run. No, we stop and then we cut into good size. We clean the scene like a spring cleaning day, and then we fix our hair, put on the lipstick, and go right into another date. Even with Bao body cutting in half, packed in bag, and riding in her car, Miso Soup did not stop. She went on more dates, met more men at the same hotel. Lucky for her, she didn't also kill that man too. Otherwise, that would be repeated behavior, and maybe then she will get more than 30 years. And that's the story of the woman killer. My name is Nhi, and thank you for staying with us. Let me know your opinion about this case in the comment. I will see you in the next episode.